Hi guys. All right, it says see waiting room. Let's admit everybody. Hi guys. Let's do this.
Okay, you don't want to hear this though, right?
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. All right, this is so exciting. So I'm gonna mute everyone. We can actually hear each other. So I muted everybody, and I'm gonna give everyone a second to hop on. We're doing it. Bringing in people who are in the waiting room. John, where are you at? Are you here? All right, guys. So I just, hey guys. You're just gonna mute yourself when you come in, because if you don't, there's like tons of feedback. So just go ahead. You'll find a way to mute yourself in the upper, and I'm trying to mute everybody also. That way we can actually hear each other. So this is gonna be super fun.
Come on mute.
So if you're not on mute, mute yourself in the top right corner. And because I keep muting everyone, but when new people join, it gets unmuted and there's a lot of feedback.
Hello.
Hey guys.
Rona here.
Hey, so when you come on in, just mute yourself and you can say hey in the chat, because if people are not muted, then it's really noisy.
Why do I see somebody that's not you? I see.
Oh, I'm going to change it. Hang on. Okay. Let's see. Why is it
Nothing against the beautiful person I'm staring at. Hello.
I don't know. Let's see. Let's move the option. Okay. Gallery view. I don't know why it's on. That's weird. It's never done that before.
We're having a look at Justina Chandler's screen.
Yeah, she's sharing her screen. That's why.
Oh, Justina, you're accidentally sharing your screen. Yeah, don't worry about it. We're all getting the hang of it. It's okay.
Yeah, that's it now.
Thank you for sharing that with us, guys. Thank you. It takes a village. All right. Hey, this is going to be cool. We're going to do a lot of fun stuff today. So we're going to talk a lot about what we're doing, and we're going to have some good conversation today. But one of the things is you're going to get used to Zoom, and it is really fun because we do get to see everybody and we do get to talk, which is great. But when we start, the way that we start every time is we make sure that everyone's muted. Otherwise, we really can't hear. So you'll just learn that it's at the top, the upper right of the box where your face is. You'll see like a little drop down if you go to the top right, and then you can mute yourself. And yeah, it looks like, and yes, I think everyone's good. All right, so there's just, let's see, there's a few more people joining. Cool. All right, awesome. Cool, and I'm just looking to see so many awesome faces here. All right, sorry that was a little bit technically like taxing, but this is so cool. I spent almost 2 full weeks with you guys, and I didn't get to see your faces. So this is really fun to get to be all together like this. And yeah, I'm just looking. John, I know you're here. So if you're here, can you unmute yourself and say hi to me?
Hey, I'm definitely here. How's it going?
I know you're here. I'm just looking for your face. I'm looking for you.
Oh, here, I'll start my I turned my camera off. Hey.
There you go. I was like, where is he? Okay, awesome. This is so cool, you guys. So, you know, I've been running this program for 3.5 years, but this is most of the time, and you'll see sort of throughout the 6 months, not everybody shows up for Zoom. This is the biggest Zoom room we've ever had, which is awesome. And I hope that it stays this way because it's really powerful.
Can I not hear her?
Oh, she can't hear me. Okay, if you're joining, you guys, then mute yourself, number one. And number two, on the bottom, if you can't hear on the bottom, you'll get used to this, but there's a way to check your audio. It's in the bottom left, your left. All right. So John, I don't know if you can see, John, that there's people continuously coming in the waiting room. I don't know why it's doing that. Normally it just lets everyone in, but I don't know. Are you able to admit them, or does it have to be from me? It might have to be from me.
Weird. Yeah, I think the thing is, I don't know if I'm set as an admin for this.
Okay. I've never seen that happen before in all my years, but whatever. I'll just keep checking it, and I'll keep admitting people as they come in. Perfect.
Okay.
All right. So let's get down to business. So that won't happen again. Next time you guys come on, you'll know to mute yourself, and you'll kind of know what to expect with all this stuff. And yeah, we're gonna get started. So here we are, and this is really exciting. You know, you guys just went through this sort of fire hose of all this information and all of this good stuff, and now it's like, all right, this is where, you know, we separate successful people from people who talk a lot about what they want, but they don't necessarily do a lot. And I'm sure that it's sort of like the first day of school right now. Like some of you are feeling like a mixture of like, you're excited, but it's unknown. And then there's this feeling of like, that was a really cool thing that we just did, but is this girl gonna deliver? Is this actually gonna be worth my time? Am I gonna be able to do it? Am I feeling like I'm in over my head? I'm sure there's lots of those feelings. And I can tell you that you are in a really safe space. Remember we talked about how you need certainty, not hope? We talked about how if you were going in for surgery, you don't want the doctor to say like, cool, so I guess, you know, I'm hoping that I'll see you in 3 hours after the surgery. You want the doctor to be like, I'm certain I'm gonna see you. So why don't you close your eyes, and we're gonna count back from 10, and you're gonna be great, right? So I can tell you that this is not my first rodeo, and you guys are gonna be great. This is, I don't know, John, how many classes have we done already? It's been several sessions. I want to say maybe 13 sessions of this program. So you're in really good hands. I've gotten to see people grow. And recently I was talking to my therapist actually, and I said to her, I get so frustrated with myself. I get so frustrated with my husband, you know, all the things, right? And she said, you know how people say people don't change? She said to me. I said, yeah, all the time. She goes, well, that's not true. Because she said, I wouldn't have a business if that was the case. But people do grow. It's amazing. In fact, we know from science that there's actually a neuroplasticity to our brains. So we literally change. Like not only do we seem like we've changed, we literally change parts of our brain. The tissue in our brain changes, which is like crazy town. I know it sounds like really out there, but it's actually so not out there. It's so in there. It's so like in hard science. And I spent a few years studying at UCLA at the Mindful Awareness Research Center, and I got such an education on self-development and how we actually can, with intention, really change our lives. And it's pretty darn awesome. But you will grow. That's number one. And what we want to do today, John and I, is we want to talk about what's happening so that you feel secure. Like, okay, I know what to expect. We want to talk about what the assignments are. We want to tell you your first assignment. We want to talk about what you can expect the themes of the months to be about in terms of a syllabus. We want you to know what you're sort of like preparing for. And we want you to have like a lay of the land that you know, okay, leaving this program, this is sort of the intention. So I'm going to dive in and start to sort of get you up to speed. And then you're going to have a moment to get to meet John also, who's my co-teacher and friend and just awesome musician, producer. And it's a really nice tag team between us. You know, I'm a songwriter, and I am also, I think my expertise is in being a business person as well. You know, I pitched my own music and still do. So I write music and I know how to sort of build a business. And John writes music, has been building his business also successfully, and he produces. So he's every day, like his real life job is only this. And where I might be doing more business stuff and pitching, he's producing music. And so he's working every day with artists, with his own music, with co-writers, with artists who come to hire him. And my producer, Billy Leffler, who I just yesterday was in Target and Ingrid Michaelson's song "Be Okay" was on the sound system, and I thought, oh, I want to sort of like capture this moment and show this to my to the cohort coming in. This is sort of how this all started for me. Is I did the research, right? We talked about doing research, and I researched that song because I had heard it in an ad, and then I looked it up, and Billy produced it, and I got really scared and excited, and fear and excitement are the two sides of the same coin. And I reached out to him, and my whole life sort of changed, and we started working together very closely for a few years, almost every day. And anyway, Billy actually manages John, so he works in Billy's studio, and you're in really good hands. And so I'm giving you a picture of how this is going to work, but basically you have two people giving you instruction, giving you support, who have slightly different areas of expertise. And so with John, you're really going to learn how to listen and what to work on in terms of your songwriting and nitty gritty in terms of the production. And with me, we'll be talking a little bit more about your process and the psychology of your process, as well as tactically what you're doing to actually make those relationships in your business with the people on the other side, right? I actually right now just want, because it's been a couple weeks since we first met everybody, and John, you haven't gotten to even like say hello. So can you just I'm gonna unmute you. Can you just introduce yourself and talk to us a little bit about just your journey? I know you posted a little bit about it, but just to let everybody kind of get to know you.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Hey, yeah. Hey, everybody. I'm so excited for this. For anybody who didn't read the life story that I put in the cohort Facebook group, thanks for everybody who read that, by the way. And it's been so cool just seeing all the talent and all the cool people that are involved in this. Yeah, I'm an independent producer here in Los Angeles. I've been living in LA for about 14 years. It's been a pretty wild and interesting journey for me, going from somebody who was like a singer-songwriter type to somebody who decided he was going to produce full time. And that's what I made the decision 5 years ago, that I was going to do that. And Kathy's one of the amazing people that I met around that time, and has been so instrumental. It gave me, like, the whole licensing thing gave me a direction to kind of aim for as I was learning to produce, so that I wasn't just kind of like, and I'll talk about this a lot. It's like really important to know what your target is, and it's really important to kind of know where you want to go, because if you don't know where you want to go, you're like just kind of, you could just be out in the ocean kind of paddling anywhere. But I think like one of the things that really worked for me 5 years ago is I made a decision what I wanted, and just took action, like took massive action. Kathy's definitely a huge part of like what inspired me. And also she's just such a advocate of like doing versus like thinking. I've always been somebody who's got like 15, and I still today have like 15 different things going at once. It's just the way I like to create, but I'm always like working towards those things getting completed now. That's the difference between like maybe the way it was 10 years ago for me and what it's like now. And nowadays it's like a fun, I have a really good time. I make music every single day, just about. And yeah, enjoy my life. I love like teaching about production. I love like listening to music and helping people get their songs, make their songs better. I've had a really long and interesting journey with like my creative process and my songwriting. And I've seen so much growth in like me, and as well as like other people that I have like kind of climbed up with. And I feel like that really like, it makes me excited, because I know that there's some things that I can help people identify stuff in their songs and get their songs more in alignment with what music supervisors, trailer houses, what have you are looking for, and our agency too. Which the other exciting part of all this is I'm so looking forward to hearing all the awesome music that people are going to make these next 6 months, because I'm sure, and I guarantee you, there's going to be a ton of that music that gets brought into the Catch the Moon library, and we're going to be pitching it. And so yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say for right now. Kathy, is there anything else you want me to say?
No, that's awesome. I'm going to come back to you in a sec. I feel like we're on the Today Show. Back to you, Cap. No joke. I'll come back to you in a minute. Thank you for that introduction. What I want to say to you guys is, I just felt compelled to say this, but John is such a sweet person that sometimes, we don't necessarily know, right? Like, you haven't been on the inside, and we should play them some of your songs. That would probably be a great thing to do, especially a couple of those songs have had some huge licenses, like the song that was in your big Starbucks placement. There's been a few others. But what I wanted to just draw your attention to is, I talked about this the other day. I did sort of like a farewell video, and I shared this thought. But along the same lines, on my way sort of up as I sort of grew, I remember, you meet a mixture of people. And what's really interesting is the more successful I became, and the people around me who were truly successful and truly talented were the kindest people. Like, really, so cool. And John's one of those people. So I think sometimes it's a good idea. It's not a bad idea for us to play your music. And I think because we sometimes feel like if someone's, really successful, maybe they're a little bit hard to reach, or they feel a little unapproachable. And so John just happens to be someone who's very successful, very talented, and very kind. And I think that's going to be a breath of fresh air for you, because you're going to see that. Like when Samantha Hilscher comes on, some of you got different bonuses depending on when you enrolled. And if you enrolled early, you got all of them. But even beyond that, every single month, you're going to meet at least 2 music supervisors. And I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised that they're kind, just like that. I think the people who we think we need to be afraid of are the ones that are just, they're really available emotionally because they don't have anything to prove, and they want you to succeed because they're at a place in their life where they've found that success, and they know that that's available when people are kind, when people are working smart from a place of empathy, as we talked about. And I love that in my life right now, I can tell you that it's the good guys. It really is the good guys who win, because it's such a small world, right? I want you to think of it like this. Like, imagine you're starting out a marathon and there's like 10,000 people at the starting line, and there's like 1,000 at the finish line, because a lot of people give up along the way. So when you get to the finish line and there's 1,000 people, if you're not kind and you're not in things for the right reasons, it starts to become well known. It's a small group up there. It's like rarefied air, and people, one of the greatest lessons in business is that people want to work with people that they like being around. People want to be with people that make them feel good. And so I think that's going to be one of the nicest parts of this. And the reason I'm so excited about all of you is because John and I have already been talking about the people who've joined this program. And I've even seen you guys talking about it already in the chat, how supportive of an environment this is. And on those lines, I want to tell you about one of your first assignments that's going to be a very big part of this journey. So in a few moments, I'm going to drop a link so that you can find your group. But one thing that's going to happen is that you guys are going to be in accountability groups. You're going to find like a team. Now, let me just be clear what this is. You can write you can write and hang out with anyone in this program. You don't have to only write with the people in your team. You can do whatever you want. In addition to all of the people that you're going to naturally be drawn to or meet, we wanted you also to have a home base, a team. Because, as I told you before, when it comes to productivity, when we've looked at the research, and this has been studied for the last 35 years, my friend Carrie went to Harvard and she studied productivity, and the results are that you are 95% more likely to get the results in your life when you have accountability. Why do people go to the gym and hire a trainer to meet them there? Just to make sure they show up, right? Like, after a while, it's the same machines. You know how to work them. You don't need this trainer, but you need him. He or she is everything, because you know they're going to be standing there if you don't show up, and you don't want to let them down. And you also have skin in the game, right? Maybe you're paying them $100. You're not going to want to lose the money. And that might be the thing that helps you lose that weight. So social pressure, we know, can be really nasty. We've seen how social pressure can be nasty, and social pressure can be so good. And what we want to do here is we want to be constantly together, collectively using every resource. You want to suck the juice out of these 6 months, right? And then we're going to talk today about all the best ways to really get the most out of this program. One of those ways is going to be with your team. And it's going to kind of, how many of you, just you can go like this if you've done this, went to camp and were in like color war? Anybody ever on color war? No, some people. Okay, a few of you. Color war is awesome, right? It's like you get so into your team and you want your team to win. And the whole is really greater than the sum of the parts. My husband, he just left after 13 years, but he's been at Fox Sports for 13 years as a vice president. And we used to go to the All-Star game. And I have to say that when we would go to the All-Star game, the best part was the All-Star game brunch. So it's the day after when we go to the breakfast, and all the best players would get up and speak, and they'd always have like some awesome like honoree, you know, somebody who's like a legend. So we've seen everybody, basically every living basketball player I think I've seen speak. So I used to leave there, and I'm not a sports person, don't kill me, but like I know nothing about sports, and I have 3 girls, so might be doomed, although maybe they'll want to play sports. In any case, it was always like church listening to these guys. And the theme for every one of those players was about how they learned to be part of a team, and how being a part of a team is what grew the whole game for everybody. In fact, I don't know how you feel about Kobe Bryant, but around these parts, he's not so beloved, because there was a time when the Lakers were like kind-hearted, magical people, and then there was a time where it was a little bit of a different vibe. And I think the reason why people didn't love him is because he wasn't necessarily like in it for the team. He's a little bit more in it for himself. It's okay. He's pretty great. We can let him have that, but I think there's something about learning how to support other people that brings out the best in us. So we want you in between this coaching sessions, in between your assignments. This is going to be such a lifeline for you. So basically what we did is we took everybody who's enrolled and we randomly, right, sort of put you guys in groups. And that's kind of cool because it's like open to the fate of the universe, like who you wind up meeting. And it's nice because you might meet people that you otherwise might not have really met. And I'm sure there'll be 3 people in the group who you connect better to than 3 other people. And it doesn't really matter, because the point of this is for you guys to get together on your own, okay, once a week. And you guys are going to have a team leader. Now, if you miss the meeting, that's also okay. But again, my grandma used to say, like, what you put into a pot is what you take out of a pot, okay? So you get what you put into this. There's not going to be any sort of like, we're not going to be keeping score, like this one's like better than this one didn't show up. We created this program for people with busy lives, and we understand that you might not be able to be there. But I am telling you that if you can show up for this as much as you can, you're going to get more out of it. So accountability groups, they have like 8 to 10 people in every group. And what we are hoping that you're going to do is this week, okay, your first assignment, there's going to be 2, but one of the first assignments is to connect with your group, and you're going to pick a homeroom leader, basically like a team captain. And if you want, you know, I guess you guys could have 2, or you guys could change it halfway, you can decide, but you just elect somebody. And essentially you're going to meet up together. Now there's 2 really cool ways to do that. One way is over Zoom video. Now Zoom video, if you don't want to pay for it, is actually free up to, I think, 45 minutes. So if you can have a 45-minute or less call, you can meet up with your team over Zoom video. You can also use something called Voxer, which is Voxer. We're going to send you these links. And Voxer is awesome. It's an app which is free, and you can create a team chat on Voxer, and it's awesome. You can kind of leave each other these like long voicemail messages, and everyone gets to hear it, and it's really neat. And I know you're like, I could leave someone a voicemail in other ways. You'll see how it's set up. It's kind of like a walkie-talkie. It's really cool. It makes it really easy to do it. And I'm in a couple accountability groups. I have to tell you that everyone I know who's successful has set up their lives to be successful. And we're going to talk a little about that today, and all the things that I want you to do to really get to the end where you want to be. We're going to start right now. And by the way, I'm going to follow up. Don't worry. I'm not going to leave you alone here. I'm not dropping the link right now to the accountability group, so I don't want to distract you, because I know if I drop it, you're going to start looking through it. See who's in my group. So we're going to make sure that we drop that before the end, and we're also going to send it to you. We're also going to post it in the Facebook group, so don't worry about that right now. I just don't want to cause a distraction. I want to right now get into how do we set ourselves up to be successful, okay? So this is going to be a little bit of the Kathy coaching, and we're going to go through what I want you to do through the course of this program. And then John and I are going to tell you about what's to expect. So when we want to be successful, again, we talked about this with our iPhones. Remember during the challenge? There was a lot of stuff that was covered. But one thing I shared with you that everybody seemed to get is that we are most productive when we have energy. And energy comes not from how much we've eaten and not from how much we've slept, but from a state of mind. And I told you, look, with your iPhone, everyone knows, like right now without looking, I bet everybody knows approximately where your battery is at on your phone. True or false? Kind of know where it is, right? Like I know mine's pretty charged, right? And yeah, you guys are like, yep. So I don't know about you, but we went to see Seinfeld last year at the Pantages, and he said, do you ever have this feeling when your battery on your smartphone is at like 7%, you physically start to feel like you're losing steam? Like you're like, I'm so anxious, get me to a charger. Like I'm losing it. Like you just feel so tied to your phone up. We were all laughing. It's so true. So because of that, everyone has a system for their phone. Some people have a charger in the car, next to their bed, in the living room, but you're set up. Like you're always aware of it. Like where is that battery in terms of being charged? How many people do that for themselves? Like be honest with me. Like how many of you have a system in place to keep yourself charged? So some of you are saying, I do. Some of you are saying, nope, somewhat. So I don't know that this is something that we're taught growing up. You know, our phones come with a really simple instruction manual. Charge it, here's how you turn it off. We don't really come with that. You know, no one really sits down with you and says, okay, here's what you want to do. You know, you want to make sure, you know, you charge your batteries this way. And how do you charge your batteries? And for most of us, we learned how to be a person by watching our parents and other adults. And so maybe it's possible, I'm just kind of guessing here, that it wasn't modeled for you. You know, it's possible that it wasn't modeled. And one thing I just want to share, and every time we get together, I'm going to give you some coaching. One thing I want to share that came up for me this week is this idea of feeling joy and how triggering it is for people. One of the things that I think was modeled for all of us, sadly, is that being an adult, being a grown-up, means you should be, you should sacrifice. There's like a sacrifice that comes along with it, or a little bit of suffering. There should be a little bit of suffering involved. You pay your dues. If you want to feel joyful, you know, just hold on, because you need to be responsible, right? So like this idea of being responsible comes up, this idea of like, who am I to feel joyful all the time? I'm not being an adult. And I should save that for the weekend. You know, I should save that for when I retire. Because when I'm 77, that's the best time for me to have fun, right? That's when I can like just crush it. I'm going to be like at every karaoke bar. I'm going to be on the golf course. That's when I'm going to travel, because I'll be so agile. That's the best time to go to the Santorini Islands, right? Like, it's like, this is what was modeled for us. And my friend Emily, super successful. She makes like $4 to $5 million a year, you guys. She has a business where she makes like cards and mugs, and her stuff is sold at like over 2,000 stores, like Papyrus and Paper Source. She's a very good friend of mine. She's actually in Bali right now, like living her best life. And she just posted this on Instagram. I'm going to read it to you because I know it's backwards. It says, we are here to enjoy ourselves. We're not employees of the universe. God is not tracking our vacation days. And, you know, she's a person who was actually a creative director at an ad agency, which for our purposes is kind of cool, because we work with those folks a lot. And then she left her day job. It's a long story, but she had Hodgkin's lymphoma and she survived. And then her best friend got cancer and didn't survive. And her friend said to her, I'm not getting out of this, but you did. So make sure that you like what you do every day. And she quit her job in advertising, and she started to draw and doodle and write things down. and she built a $4 to $5 million a year business, and it's awesome. And she's like one of the really cool people I've gotten to meet doing my podcast and all that stuff. But I love this quote so much. And I posted on Instagram, and it was interesting how a few people were so triggered by that. What do you mean? We're supposed to, we're not supposed, life is not about making yourself happy. And I'm like, wait just a minute. Just hang on. Just hang on a second. Because joy is so productive, right? Like the more you stand in the flow of who you really are, doing the things that light your soul on fire, you reverberate. And when you walk down the street and when you talk to someone, not only is that so great to be around, but maybe, just maybe, you then give people permission to let themselves do the things that make them happy. And isn't that awesome, right? That's pretty awesome. And it's really triggering too. Like you're going to find being in this program, people won't love it that you're like all giddy, doing fun stuff all the time, talking about your dreams. People are going to want to like, throw rocks at that. So just kind of notice that. And instead of judging those people, you could just feel compassion, because most likely it's triggering because someone told them that dreams don't come true. And now they're looking at you like, why are you trying to rock the boat? And something to keep in mind is don't take constructive criticism from people who haven't constructed anything, okay? So if somebody, has constructed and done the things that you want to do, okay, even then, don't take it as the gospel, but with a grain of salt. And if there starts to be consistency coming back from the people who've gone down this road and they have your best interest and they want to support you, give you some constructive feedback, that's one thing. But when someone gives you constructive feedback and they've never done that, it is so easy to sit back in the cheap seats and look at the person who's vulnerable and tell them, give them your opinion about how it's never going to happen. I had someone in my family, my aunt, before I moved out to LA, she begged me to be reasonable and to just let it go. She's like, what are you going to do? You're going to lose your life. This is so ridiculous. These things don't happen for anybody. And like most people, she, has had 2 heart attacks. She's on antidepressants. She drinks like 3 bottles of wine a night to just like self-medicate her life away. And just recently she finally retired, and now she does visual art all day long. Like she just paints, and she's like, yeah, I guess I would have painted. Like, I guess I would have done that. Right? So let's not let that be us. Okay. So that's one of the most beautiful things about being in this program. And how are we going to get the most out of it? Couple things. Those batteries have to be charged. I can only do so much, right? Like I'm pretty contagious, right? I'm really, this is like one of my things is like, I'm going to give you that infectious feeling of like jolt. Kathy feels it. And by the way, that is what a good leader should do. A really good leader, it's so obvious what their vision is and they live their vision that what happens is you start to see it, right? That really is my job, to hold up that vision till you're like, oh yeah, I see it too. Cool. So that's going to happen. But in between the times that we talk, I need you to have your batteries charged. So I want to talk today about what you're going to do to be ahead of it, right? We talked about the escalator. Remember one of the days we talked about how like if every kid has tried to walk up the down escalator. And when you're walking up the down escalator, you have to be ahead. Your mom's on the one that's going up. You're like, I'll meet you up there. And you try to run up the one that's going down. And if you stop, you don't stay in the same place, you go down. So if you're trying to go up the down escalator, you got to go ahead of it. Your mind, I want you to understand, your brain, your mind was built to help protect you. So all it does all day long, if you're wondering like, why do I worry so much? Am I such a freak? No, this is everybody. Why is that? Your brain was made to protect you from danger. So it looks for worries all the time. It's like, oh, that could be a problem. That could be a problem. There's a saber-toothed tiger. And there was a time when that was really helpful. But today, not so much. We don't need it so much. So what we have to do is understand that that's the default. The default isn't here. The default is that escalator that's just going like this. So we got to get ahead of it. So morning practices are really, really helpful. I would highly recommend, like you can come up with your own morning practice. I would highly recommend that you consider reading the book The Artist Way by Julia Cameron and doing that book while you're doing this, because guess what? It's a 12-week book. Every chapter is a week. She breaks it up into like 12 weeks, 12 chapters, and she gives you stuff to do every morning where she has you just do some morning pages, and people are like, why do I have to write morning pages? What she says, which I think is pretty cool, is that when you just let yourself write your first thoughts in the morning, before you check your email, you just take 10 minutes, just write out what's ever on your mind. She says that there's so much yuck that's sitting in there, and when we write it out, it kind of evaporates. Kind of what happens. So that's one thing, okay? This like idea of morning pages. You could do other stuff. You could decide that you're going to listen to a playlist of 3 songs that get you back, right? Like, I don't know about you, but there's a few songs that every time I hear them, they get me. Like A Million Dreams from Greatest Showman. You guys know the song? You know, you're starting out your day, it's good, it's bad, whatever. You start hearing that song and you're like, oh shit, this is me. I do have a dream. All right, I'm back. You know, like then the bridge comes in, you're like, I'm back. Let's do this. You know, I'm in it. And by the way, Pink's version of that song, how many people heard that? Pink covered that song. Love it. Okay, so that might be a good one. There's a song by Ben Rector that I would highly recommend, and it's called Fear, and it's so good. And it starts off, he said, I spent 10 years on this pavement, and I finally caught a dream. If I'm honest, it's a terrifying thing. And he talks about how a part of him wanted to turn around and run back home. And something inside of him said, no, you're going to keep going. And it's an amazing song. When I listen to that song, I get right back to that kid who deserves me to have the courage. So you might have a playlist of songs like that. And as crazy as it sounds, it's not so crazy to charge that phone, right? You have to do this. You have to figure out what pushes your buttons, because it sets the whole mood for the day. So thinking about that in the morning, there's other things you could do too. Like you could say, like, I'm just going to go get some vitamin D, and I know I don't want to, and I know it seems stupid, and my mind is telling me just sit here, just check your email, but I'm going to force myself to just walk around the block for 7 minutes. It'll change your day. And maybe I'll go without my phone, right? Maybe I'll actually just walk without my phone and just notice that there's a tree, or notice that I feel anxious, or just spend a few minutes, right? And I've heard people say, often a lot of times people go, I don't have time. If you don't have 10 minutes for yourself, you do not have a life. And you know what, you guys, it would be so easy to think that none of this matters, but you're not making widgets. You're going to be creating music. And that comes from you, your soul, connecting to yourself. And when there's no space in here, it's really hard to make the connection from here to here. So we got to get this a little less busy. So you get to pick, right, how you're going to do that. But that'd be one thing I would say you need to practice. Like you need to figure out what that is. And I'm not one of those pretentious like meditation snobs who's like, you have to meditate every day. Sometimes meditation is great. Sometimes it's really anxiety provoking. So you just have to kind of know yourself. For me, I tried to do it for 10 years. There were days where it was great. There were days where I was judging how hard it was for me. And then I realized I really get much more out of it, my practice, when I'm not sitting still. Like I need to either walk, listen to music. I'm ready to just like take on the world certain times, but not necessarily from sitting and being still. It took me a while to figure that out, to know myself. There's no right or wrong way, but having a morning practice, who's with me on this? I want you to write into the chat. I'd love it if you could write down what you can commit to do, okay? this is one of the things that I'd like you to check in with your accountability group about. We're going to talk about many things that are going to go on in there, but one thing is just to keep each other accountable and to check in, like, how's it going? How are you feeling every day? Because I want you to watch the correlation. Seriously, stay with me here. I want you to watch the correlation between where people start to lose steam on their journey, on how much action they're taking, and where they're at up here. Because when you're feeling lit, chances are you're gonna do a lot about it. When you're not, it's gonna start to affect everything. And like we talked about before, which is just really important to understand, your thoughts, okay, your thoughts are the thing that create how you feel. And we are all feeling beings. And then our feelings dictate what actions we take. And our actions 100% decide the results that are our lives right now. And a couple other things that have to happen is stop telling yourself that you should do things, okay? Because the shoulds don't always happen. So it has to be a must. If there are things that are non-negotiable, you're just gonna do them. Like my kids, I have a 3-year-old, 6-year-old, and 7-year-old. They don't like to take showers. It's not an option, right? It's a must. It has to do it, has to be done. And when I was growing up taking piano lessons, I hated practicing. But when I didn't practice, I wasn't really prepared for that lesson, and I was really wasting everyone's time. I was wasting the teacher's time, wasting my time. So we get to make that decision today. And if you go back in your life and you look at what's happened in your life, whatever your results are of your life, whatever your life looks like right now, you could bring it back to decisions. It's all about deciding. And once you make decisions, everything else flows. Like the day I decided to get engaged, right, to my husband, that was like a defining moment, making that decision. And I remember the 1.5, 2 years before we got engaged, just all the anxiety around the decision and all of the da-da-da-da, you know, and then you make the decision and now you can actually move forward, right? You got to make decisions. So it comes down to making decisions, and about this as well, right? Like there might be a part of you that's like, I did this, but I'm not all in, right? I'm really kind of like 1 foot in. So that's probably not the best decision, right? Like if you want to get the most out of it, you need to be both feet in. Otherwise, you might be wasting your time, you know? It might be much better. You might get there a lot faster if you're actually pedaling the bike with both feet. Okay, so figuring out some kind of morning practice is a really good idea. And then I want you to remember that really successful people, they work on their business more than they work in their business, okay? So when we're working on our business, we have a goal, we begin with the end in mind, and then we work backwards from that and we figure out what process we're gonna take in order to get there. So now I wanna tell you a little bit about what you're going to expect over the next few months. So at the end of 6 months, we would love it, and what we're going to put you in, we're gonna set you up to be in this position. If you wind up completing it, that will have to do with, you know, how much you can make this a priority, right? But essentially the program is designed that by the end of 6 months, you have an EP. And everyone knows what an EP is, right? Yeah, an EP is like you know, we used to have CDs, we don't have them anymore. So we used to have like full-length albums that were about 12 songs, and then we had like EPs that were usually 3 to 5 songs, right? So we're hoping that at the end of 6 months, you walk away with 4 to 5 songs that are really, really well suited for film and TV, right? That's the point. Now, again, because that's our goal. We want to be clear, right? Like this isn't just a creative writing class. It's not a songwriting class, although there's going to be a lot of songwriting going on and a lot of instruction about that. This is really a class focused on getting that result. So what we're going to wind up doing is we're going to be looking at that end goal, and we're going to be helping you work toward that. So this first month, okay, this whole first month is going to be about really understanding what your target is, right? Where are you headed? If you were in an architecture program and I wanted you by the end to be able to create the most beautiful rendering of a home, first, before I tell you to like sit down with the paper and start drawing, we need to understand a little bit about the science and the math and the whole infrastructure, what it is that you're even intending to create, right? So we're going to spend a month really looking at, what is this thing? Where am I headed? What we've seen in the past, and I said this is not our first rodeo, we've seen people jump right in and start writing and sending us stuff and start to feel frustrated, because before we make the meal, right, we should figure out like who's coming to dinner, what do they eat. We should get it, like maybe kind of look at some, if we're going to about to make a cake, maybe we should look at some of the cakes that we're
How do I write something?
And so I'm just muting people as they talk. It's fine. So you can write whatever you want. You can dive right in and start writing, but we want you to know that your first assignment is not going to be due until after this month. And here's another cool thing that we're going to do, which I think is going to make you guys feel really good. The first thing that you're going to turn in is not a fully produced track. Is that a big relief? I don't know about how you feel, but I think a lot of people would feel really good about that. The first thing that you're going to turn in is a work tape. Who knows what a work tape is? Everyone does, I'm sure. All right, well, you guys know what a work tape is. A work tape is basically, it's a vocal, right? Someone's singing some lyrics, someone's singing some melody, and maybe there's a guitar underneath it, or there's a piano underneath it. And it could be literally you recording yourself with a voice note, sitting on your phone, sitting on your piano. It could be you recording into your, just straight into your laptop, right? Make a work tape. And that's it, right? That's the first thing you're going to turn in. And we're then going to give you feedback on that, so that before you spend the time and the energy to connect with the producer and make the deal with the producer or collaborate with someone in the class, and it doesn't matter whether you're doing that on spec, you don't have to pay for it, or you do have to pay for it, whatever, before you even spend the energy on it, we want to make sure that you're writing music that you're going to feel really excited about, that's actually going to have a fighting chance for this particular goal. And then after you're going to get feedback on that, the next step is going to be sort of at the end of month 2, beginning month 3. This is when you're going to produce your first song. And don't worry, we're not going to just like send you out to the wolves. We're going to talk a lot about how to produce it. We're going to talk a lot about different ways that you can make that happen within this program. We also have a list of producers from our previous program. We also have a list of like top LA producers. Like there's different levels of people in terms of experience, in terms of what they charge, and there's also people who will be doing this on spec. So there's lots of different ways to do it. That's going to then happen months 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then by the end, you're going to have this EP. So we're going to talk about learning to listen in the first month. In the second month, we're going to really get into the songwriting. That's when you're going to get some feedback on your work tape. It's going to be like a songwriting blitz. And then every single week, I'm going to send you the syllabus actually later today. We'll also post it, and you'll see how every week has a different kind of a focus. And also I want you to know in terms of what you can expect schedule-wise. So we're going to alternate times just to try to make things easier for people, because people have different kinds of schedules. So John is typically going to be here during the week, and you can let them know like the days that you're going to be there. But I believe it's usually like, isn't it usually like Tuesdays or Thursdays around 11 Pacific Standard Time? I'll throw it over to you in a second. I'm going to be here every other Sunday. That's one thing, just because I think some people need Sundays and some people need weekdays. So you're going to get both. And if you can't make it, you will always get the replay. So you don't have to worry about it. You can sit back and watch that when you have a chance, okay? And then we're going to also do a little bit of staggering. So every month you're going to have, in addition to your teachers, John and I, you're going to have expert sessions with music supervisors. And this is in addition to whatever bonus sessions we're given. So this is just sort of like part of the program. So those sessions will be varied as well. Some of those music supervisors like to do it during the weekday. They like to make it part of their work week. and some of them would prefer to do it in an evening, right? So those will be sort of staggered, and there'll be at least 2 of those every month where we will have a session just like this, where a music supervisor will be on here, and we will be hearing from them. They will be listening through some songs, giving some feedback, and every single time they come on, we will make sure to vary the artist that songs gets played. So that'll be interesting. You'll realize that hearing them listen to 5 songs every time, it becomes like a case study, and you'll learn a lot. Like even if one particular session they're not playing your song, they're playing 5 other people's songs, you'll learn a lot from hearing them say, this is working, this is not working. And then in addition to that, you're going to start to get assignments, right? I told you, like, you're going to turn in that work tape in month 2. And then in month 3, 4, 5, and 6, you're going to have an assignment, right? These songs that you're creating for the EP, we're going to help you figure out, again, beginning with the end in mind, what songs, what are you writing? Well, a lot of what's going to happen during the next few months is you're going to get some research under your belt. You're going to start to understand what would make sense to write from a lyrical perspective, from a production standpoint. And we're going to give you different assignments based on themes that we know we need, that we see all the time. When you turn in an assignment, you're going to get personalized feedback. So there's going to be a few months in a row where you're turning in an assignment and you're getting back specific feedback. Like, we listened to this, here's what needs improvement, this really works. There might even be a time where we write back and say, we love this, would you like us to start pitching it? And you can say no also. Being a part of this program does not mean you have to work with Catch the Moon as an agency. We happen to also have that as a resource for you, but we also, and I mean it, I really mean it, I'm not just saying it, we're really happy for you to learn how to A, pitch yourself directly, which we'll talk so much about, and B, we're happy for you to work with other licensing agents as well. But what will start to happen in this program, which is really exciting, because our other classes get this a lot, and not only that, we've actually placed a lot of our students' work. But what will start to happen is, because you're in this program, and I'm telling you, this is so freaking cool, because I was on the other side for a long time and no one takes unsolicited music. That's literally an industry standard. So when people say to me, I don't get it, the only way to work with you is to be in your program, I'm like, you guys, that's even that's a blessing that even exists at all. Like, everyone else didn't create any way to get in. Like, now you're mad that there's a way to get in. There's no way for anyone to work with anyone. So the fact that, I'm sorry, like, I created a way, and you don't even like the way, it's like, no, I can't change the industry and just take unsolicited music for 2 really good reasons. A, no one has the manpower to listen. No one logistically could get through any of it. I literally, the amount of songs we get in, if I listened to the songs, I would have no time to even brush my teeth. Like, that's how much music comes in, number 1. Number 2, for copyright intellectual property reasons, no one in any creative industry will take anybody's unsolicited work. It is not okay. You have to have a relationship where you trust the person and the person trusts you, and you get it through a reputable source, and there's an agreement in place, there's an NDA that's signed. This is life. This is not just like, so we, all of us together, we get to have a different kind of relationship than we have with the world at large. So what will start to happen is John will say, because John and I are constantly like working on searches. Actually, John, did you get the one I sent you over the weekend? I forwarded it to you. They needed that. I don't know. We get searches all the time. He's like, probably like, no. But I was pulling the songs for it. In any case, we get searches requests all the time. So during the course of this program, in addition to the assignments you're going to send in addition to coaching sessions and moments where you're playing songs for music supervisors, again, they're going to listen to 5 songs every time. There's also going to be moments where we say, hey guys, this is a pitching opportunity, okay? We need a song for a movie, and it's a Christmas song. And if you have anything, we're going to let you know. We'll let you know exactly what we need and when we need it by, and we'll let you know the budget. We have $8,000, send it in. Now, for the pitching opportunities, we're not going to go back and give you feedback and go, this is what we needed. Da, da, da. We're going to do that on the assignments. But for pitching opportunities, you will hear, because we'll post, thanks to so-and-so, 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 your songs are the ones that we pitched. And if we're going to pitch them, we'll send you an agreement for the song. And our agreements, I'm telling you, I don't want you to spend the money on an attorney, but if you did, or if you want to, you'll be really happy with it. But we do it very artist friendly because that's really not what we're in it for. So we don't take publishing, we don't take copyright, we don't take ownership. And some people do. So be on the lookout for that. I don't think that that's advisable. But what we do is we take only a percentage of the song of that placement. So not of the song like forever. Like if that song, if it wound up being pitched by someone else for something else, it would be not really relevant. We would just take a piece of the commission for the thing that we placed it for. And in general, people usually take 50% commission and we take 30% commission. And again, just on that, no royalties, no publishing, and you don't have to pitch it with us if you don't want to. You're going to be just given an opportunity to do that. In addition, one of the other things you're going to learn, which is really cool about being in this program, you are going to learn how to pitch yourself directly. And something that I've heard through the music supervisors is that when someone in this program reaches out to them, and we're going to teach you how to pitch so that you're really well received, because it matters a lot how you approach them. But we've found that people are really pleasantly surprised by the quality of human beings in this program, how humble, how professional. And so that's going to be another huge opportunity. Like let's say a few people come in and speak to our class. You might say, well, Chris Mazur was just here from Netflix and he was great. And we got to have this like Q&A time with him, right? Like just like this over video. And we are always going to leave time in those sessions for you guys to ask questions. And you might say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to follow up with him and say, I saw you speak in the class and I loved what you said about, you know, how you grew up. Your dad was in the military and you moved around. I'm making this up. His dad was not in the military. But, you know, like, and I loved that and I related to it. And by the way, you know, we're going to tell you, I'm going to teach you how to pitch music. But again, we don't pitch music through asking for things. We make relationships, but we'll talk about how to make a good relationship. My point here is that one of the best ways to get the most out of this program is to realize that every time there's any kind of connection being made, right? That's a really cool thing to think about doubling down on and doing that in a really smart, classy way. And the squeaky wheel will get the grease, okay? So I'm just sort of painting a picture for you. So is everyone clear about sort of the big, you know, totem poles? Like what is the flagpole content of this course? Is everyone clear about that? So John and I are alternating times here, right? He's gonna do weekday stuff. I'll be here every other Sunday. You're gonna have 2 music supervisor expert sessions a month. Great, it seems like everyone's got it, that's great. The first thing you're turning in is a work tape, right? You guys got that? That's going to be, we're going to let you know the date for that, but you don't have to do it tomorrow, a work tape. And then after that, you're going to get some feedback on that. And then you're going to start turning in songs based on assignments that we're going to give you. And assignments we'll probably say something like, the assignment for this month is to pick a song that you're going to write based on one of these 3 themes that we get asked for all the time. And you'll say, oh, okay, cool, I'm going to write a song about home, or I'm going to write a song about togetherness, or whatever, based on the themes. And then the next month we'll say, okay, pick a theme, one of these 3, and write the song. And we will probably also give you references. One thing that John does every week is he gives you a reference of a track that's been used recently in a TV show or an ad, and he'll say, here's why this song works for sync. Take a listen. Right? So that's something you'll just learn to understand better. And I'm seeing a bunch of questions, and I want to make time separately to look through those. But one thing that someone just said is, if we already have a song, can we turn it in? Absolutely. Like, our goal is to help you at the end of this have an incredible EP and to know some of the key players and to know how to reach out to them, right? So you have the person you need and what you need. If you already wrote that song, if you kind of half wrote it, you want to finish it. If you want to write it with someone who's not in this program, however you want to get it done, you get it done. We're not dictating that, okay? And we're going to talk about both the writing of the song as well as the production elements. John, I want to give you a second to chime in, and I'm going to look through some questions while you do that. Anything you want to say about sort of syllabus. Do you want to read through some of the topics on the syllabus for them, maybe?
Oh, sure. Let me see. Let me see if it might take me a second here to pull it up.
Is there anything else you want to share? I can.
Yeah, no, just that, like, exactly what you said. Like, we're going to be helping everybody to know what the target is, like what kinds of music are music supervisors, trailer house.
Can you describe what one stop was?
Sorry. I had to mute someone else and then I muted you. Go ahead.
We're going to be showing you exactly what they're looking for, and then taking a month to just really get to know what your target is. And then at that point, we're going to start like asking for work tapes from you so that we can help guide and steer the kinds of songs that you're writing. And while you're doing this, you're going to be starting to form teams together. Some of you might just be able to do everything by yourselves, but I find that to be pretty rare. I remember when I was first starting out with this, I was writing with tons of different people. And I found that like probably the most successful people that were running with me at the time were the folks who were like kind of collaborating together on teams of maybe up to like 3 or 4 songwriters sometimes. It actually, like, there were a couple times, it's kind of funny. I have a couple songs, I think very early on when I was starting out with this, where it might have had like 6 or 7 writers. And once it gets to that point, it gets a little convoluted. But the point is, like, getting all your talent together, starting to figure out like what kind of music is needed right now. What kind of team can I put together to make that kind of music? And then we're going to be helping you out the entire step of the way, every step of the way, from like creating work tapes that fit into that genre. We'll give you feedback on that. We'll give people opportunities to submit their work tapes for feedback. And then from that there on, we'll be teaching you how to go about like producing this stuff, how to make deals with producers, how to, if you're producing your own on your own, like some things that any kind of obstacles that are coming up with that, we help address that. And yeah, the whole point is by the end of the 6 months, you'll have a package of songs, including like some branding stuff. We're going to be talking about some branding stuff as well. Just things that you want to keep in mind to have a package that you can send out when you're pitching around. And whether you're pitching it to us, whether you're pitching it to Zinc, or wherever you're pitching it to, you're going to have a marketing package together. And then Kathy's going to have like all this awesome stuff that she's going to teach you about how to go about pitching it. And
Yep.
So
and something else, that's great. If you haven't, hold your thought, because you have something else I want you to jump in. I just saw a question and I want to make sure that we also address this. So somebody just said, Linda, you asked this question, in between sessions, can we send you emails? Can we ask you questions? So just to make sure that you guys don't get frustrated and you know what to expect, just like in every college course you ever took where there's like the teacher has office hours, right? It makes it so much easier for you guys to get your needs met when you know, like, this is when they're available, like the light is on, versus sending an email and then you're like, oh, it didn't get heard. I don't know if it's getting through. That just never works and people get so frustrated. So we have office hours every single week. And so what happens is we actually do those live on Zoom video. So John comes on and says, hey, this is the office hour time. You're going to know when that time is. In fact, that's separate from your coaching class with him. So you basically you're getting at least 2 Zoom calls a week. And then there are weeks where you're getting 3, right? Because the third one is like a music supervisor. That's every other week you're going to get one of those. But every week there's a coaching session. And it's a session like this where we'll be going over what's in the syllabus. Every week there's something new on the syllabus. And then there's going to be time to listen to songs as well, right? At the end of those sessions. And we'll be giving feedback on why songs are working, why they're not working. In addition to the weekly coaching session, there's a weekly office hours. And that could just be all the questions you guys have. I'm frustrated with this. How do I get better at this? What do I do with my accountability group? My co-writer is who's the person who's the news supervisor for this thing? How do I send an email? What's the address? Like, you just might have a million questions. What we also try to do in those office hours, since it just makes it more fun, is we try to listen to some songs. So we try not to go through a session without also listening to some songs, because we know that you guys want that pipeline, and it's such a good education for us to be listening through songs. So that's another important point. One of the first assignments for this week, I told you there's two things you're going to do. One thing is kind of just a logistical assignment, which is getting together with your group, with your team. We would love for you guys to come up with like a team name, because it's just fun. And like, the more fun we have, the easier it is to do things when they're fun. That's number one, but that's just logistical. The first assignment When we give you assignments, by the way, just like we did in the challenge, we're going to post it in the Facebook group, and then we want you guys to respond in the thread. So the first assignment for this week is we want you to find a song, right? A song that's been used in a TV show or an ad or a trailer that's representative of the kind of song you want to write. Right? Not just like, oh, this is a really cool song by Stolen Jars, but like, this is me. Like if I'm looking at where I want to be and where I am now and what I would love to create, it's something like this, because we want to get a sense of where your heart is and where your enthusiasm is, and creatively sort of where you feel you are drawn. So it'd be really cool if you could find one song like that. Let us know where you heard it. You might even want to drop the link if you can find it in iSpot TV or in TuneFind. If you can't find it, that's fine. And then if you do find it, it'd be cool if you did that extra step of figuring out who the music supervisor is. If you can't, that's okay too. We're really more concerned with just hearing that song. And it just would be neat if you could let us know where you heard it, a TV show or film, an ad, a trailer. And then if you can do those other pieces of research, like who is the music supervisor and who produced the track. By the way, you can find information like that on, if you go to All Music, right? All Music shows different producers, their discographies, what they've worked on. It's really neat. Just to sort of get you guys in the habit of doing that research, okay? Something I want to talk about today for our first, again, I didn't want this to just be a welcome and let's talk about logistics. I also wanted to start to get into the coaching a little bit. This is a really profound idea, but you really want to internalize this one, which is that creativity fuels prosperity. Okay, so if I had to put my finger on the biggest thing that stands in the way when someone is not feeling successful, they're not doing it, right? It's kind of simple. They're not creating enough. If you're honest, okay, and I want you to be honest, otherwise I can't really help. I can only help if you're honest. And if you're honest, it doesn't matter if it's a good or bad or ugly, it doesn't matter where it is, I just want you to be honest. Over the last 6 months, how many songs have you written? Just type in the chat. 4, 7, 29, 3, 0. So it's really all over the board. Some people have written a lot of songs. Wow, 50 to 75. Amazing. 4, 5, 1, 10. 0, 20. Awesome. Okay, now here's the next question. Of the songs you've written, how many of them did you finish and record them? How many songs in the last 6 months have you written, finished, and recorded? So a lot of people are saying it's all over the map again, but it's a little on the lower end. But some people have said saying that they recorded a lot. That's excellent. Awesome. So it's a little bit of a mixture there. All I can tell you is from my experience working with many, many, many artists, and also on my show, on my podcast, talking to millions of people. What I find a lot, especially living in LA amongst creatives, is people will be like, yeah, I'm trying to sell my script. And I'm like, is it the same script from 7 years ago? Yeah, okay, good. So that's okay. There's something to like being persistent. I think that persistence is huge. But I also just find that we're very precious because most people I know struggle with feeling some inadequacy. I had Lisa Loeb on my show, and she's become like a friend of mine. And she said, I hate my guitar because I walk past it and it like stares at me and I can't stand it. I just can't stand looking at it because it just like reminds me that I'm supposed to write music and I don't want to, because every time I pick up the guitar, I feel like an idiot. And I've had 2 #1 singles, which was the worst kiss of death because I can't write another one. And so I pick up the guitar and I want to write a #1 single and I can't write anything. And then I put the guitar down. And we talked about this when she was on the show. And it is sad. And I think that most people, unless you're like a Jedi or you're, I don't know, maybe not a human being, or you're not being honest, it'd be one of those three things, you struggle with imposter syndrome. I've never met someone who's super successful, who's like, yeah, everything I do comes out perfectly. I have no fear and I love it every day. And everything I do is great. And I'm always proud of it. I'm proud of everything. It's easy and I'm proud of it. Larry David said that when they started to write Seinfeld, he was like, no, we can't. And then NBC was like, no, we're going to do a whole season. He's like, no, don't order a whole season. I cannot write the show. I cannot do it. And then like every season they had to like struggle to get him back. And he's like, we can't do it. I can't do it. And he's famous for saying that like he'd get up to do like a set of stand up and he'd just look at the audience and he'd be like, no. And he would just leave. He would just literally walk off the stage. So it's funny, and it's funny because it's so true. And I love the people who are brave enough to say without any shame, I totally feel that. So we got to get rid of the shame, first of all, because when we have that shame and we're like, I'm awesome, I'm really good. So that's just shame. I don't know how many of you have friends like that, but I have a few girlfriends who I've spent a lot less time with in the last few years because every time you see them, they're like, I'm amazing. How are you? Amazing? You're not amazing? My life is amazing. My marriage is amazing. My kids are amazing. It's amazing. And I'm just like, you have so much shame and I can't be around you because it makes me anxious because no one has that. Like, that's not a life. And if that is your life, then I'm not sure how much you're growing or how much you're actually like, yeah, someone said denial. I would say that's some denial. You know, I actually have the opposite problem. First of all, nothing's ever only good, right? But sometimes I have like part of my day that's really good. And if I see someone, I'll be like, you know, it's how's it going? I'll be like, you know, it's shit. It's like, this is great. This sucks. Because there's never only good. It doesn't exist. So once in a while, I'll be like, I really should celebrate it when it is good because I know what it's like to have really tough days. So I really should be like, it's really good today. But it really is never only good. Like if I'm crushing it at work, my marriage is a mess. Like it's never all great. But with our creativity, we have to be honest. This should be the place where you're safe. This should be the place where you're like, I'm really afraid to sit down and play the piano. I'm going to be honest about it. I say that I write all the time. I really don't. You know what I mean? Like we have to get honest about it. Jonathan Adler is a really successful designer and he's worth millions and millions and millions. And he was on my show and he's adorable. And you might know his work because he's pretty famous. But he used to tell people, he was living in New York City and he was basically an assistant for like different like talent agents and whatever. And he was always getting fired. And he wound up becoming a potter and then a designer, which is great. But he used to tell people like, I'm a potter. And then his boyfriend was like, Jonathan, you're really not a potter. Like, when was the last time you sat and made a pot? And he's like, 7th grade. You know what I mean? Like, he was like, but I have those pots because I'm really good I'm making pottery. I'm a potter. And his boyfriend was like, maybe you should make pottery then. Maybe you should actually do it. So he started waking up and rollerblading down to this place in Hell's Kitchen and making some pottery every day. And he said, what if I did it every day for 30 days? And his teacher said to him, so, because he was getting so frustrated with himself because like he couldn't make what he wanted to make because he has really good taste and he just was starting out. So his teacher's like, here's what I want you to do. I want you to make it and smash it. Like make it just to smash it. He was like, oh my God. And then it was like the most freeing month of his life. And he just like the Andy Warhol thing I told you guys about was really similar. And it was a really good teacher. He was like, because you need to smash a lot of it so that you can actually give yourself the grace to not have to make it perfect. And then the thing is just going to come, right? The brilliant thing is just going to come. So he wound up becoming a great potter. And it's an amazing story, actually, what happened. But that is something that we need to do here is I do not want you to set yourself up for failure by saying, okay, let's see. All right. Okay, let me get this straight. So Kathy wants us to write and record an EP by the end. Okay, so let's see. So I have 6 months, and in 6 months, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 6 songs and record them. And that's going to be really successful, right? Like, we want you to get so free of needing to be perfect that you write all the time. You just write a song, so that, I don't know, some of you were all over the board. Some of you said, I wrote 30 songs. Somebody said, I wrote 4 songs. It doesn't matter. We want you to be in a habit of like, you're gonna just write. You're gonna write so often that you're gonna stop being so precious about it. It doesn't have to be a hit. And guess what? It's gonna surprise you. It's gonna wind up being better than you think, right? Because you're gonna take the pressure off of it. So beginning with the end in mind, when I talked to you guys in the challenge about my process, I was like, so what I used to do is say, okay, if I want to have 4 great songs, I'm going to write 20. And from 20, I'm going to pick 4, right? Because it's so freeing. It means I don't have to write 4 songs and record 4 songs and then hope to land 4 placements. I get to write 20 songs, not knowing which one I need to be stressed about. I don't need to be stressed, just writing songs. Then I can step back and go, oh, which ones are really good enough that I feel the click, and I'm going to record those, right? And then from there, we're going to probably get to better and better and better music, right? We're not born Mozart, just not. Sorry. Like, I don't know. If anyone in this program is superhuman and you have that on and no one else does ever in history, then that's cool. Then you're made of magic. Good for you. But most people, the magic is, you ready for this? I want you guys to take out a pen right now, okay? This is the beginning. This is where it starts. This is your first life coach, business coach session. Okay, you gotta get a pen, piece of paper. All right, seems like everyone's already got that, so we're gonna go ahead. All right, so you're gonna write your name, Dear Kathy, whatever your, fill in your name, or you can write me, I'll get 200 permission slips. Write it to yourself, Dear, put your name in there. I give you permission. You ready? I give you permission to make mediocre things. And then keep going. I give you permission to play and be messy. I give you permission to let it be easy and have fun. And remember, here's the last sentence. And remember why you love this in the first place. And we talked about, and that's it, and then you can sign your name. And I want you to keep it. And we talked about in the challenge how every one of you has a 6-year-old kid inside of you. And how for way, way, way too long, that kid has been told, like, you're not really good enough. You don't really have what it takes. And the reason I know that, you guys, is because the greatest obstacle between where we are and where we want to be is our belief in ourselves. And people will be like, that's not true. I totally believe in myself. So if you knew for certain that you were, there was a lottery ticket on your desk, you'd go scratch it off, right? Like, if you knew for certain. But if you didn't, then you wouldn't even bother, you wouldn't bother buying a lottery ticket because you're like, right? When we really believe in ourselves and we know for certain that we deserve something, we wouldn't dare not show up for the opportunity, right? But we're so hard on ourselves that we begin and And it's so easy for us to get a tiny bit of rejection and we're off. We're out of the game because all that self-doubt, it's so powerful, right? So when we believe in ourselves, when we believe that we deserve it, when we have certainty and you bet on yourself, I have no doubt. And John can attest to this. I've met people who objectively, and I'm not going to be nice about it, I met and was like, yeah, not that talented. And when they've been certain, I've literally watched them like run circles around me personally 6 months later. Like I used to think, I had this friend, Katie Miles, when I was growing up. I used to do theater. The first play I was ever in was Free to Be You and Me. Such a fun experience. And then I was in like Into the Woods and Grease, and I did musical theater and summer stock theater my whole life. There was this girl, Katie Miles, who couldn't sing. She just couldn't. She was an amazing dancer. She couldn't sing. And one summer she came back. I hadn't seen her since the summer before, and she could sing. And she got the lead in Pal Joey, and she sang, "Bewitched, bothered, and bewildered." I was like, what happened to this girl? She believed in herself, and she was willing to show up while she was still not great. She was willing to hang in there when she was mediocre. She fought for it. She was like, that little kid inside of me wants to sing so bad, and I'm going to learn how to sing. She had some ear training. She took ear training. She took voice lessons. Holy shit, could she sing? Like, I'm not joking. I was like, okay, all right. And I actually realized about myself that I've been pretty lazy about my voice. I'm still pretty lazy about it. Like, I have like a naturally good voice, but it's not great. And I could be great if I actually showed up and went to voice lessons. So maybe that's what I should be accountable to go do, because it would be just so great. Instead of always being like, no, I can't sing up there. It's like, get over it. Learn to sing those notes. You can do it. Don't keep that as like a freaking barrier. In order to do all of this, you will have to have, and I'm going to tell you, the courage to make mediocre things. When I tell you it takes courage to be mediocre, that's it. If you can hold on to that and cross that bridge, you will get to a place that is not mediocre. But you're going to have to bear it. You're going to have to say, you know what? This 6-year-old kid, I wouldn't do that to a 6-year-old. I wouldn't say, go ahead, ride a bike. Oh, you fell off. You fell off. What an idiot. Don't ever get back on. I'd be like, you're going to fall off again. Let's do it again. Let's get comfortable falling off that bike. And guess what? You keep falling off that bike until you don't. You don't. And what's amazing is, if you think about this, like, we all learn to walk, right? Thank God. Some of us can't walk. That sucks, right? Sometimes we don't have control over that. Some people don't. But most people learn to walk. I have 3 kids. I can't even tell you. We were actually just talking about it this morning because my daughter thought she had a bug bite. It's a bruise. She's 2. I can't even tell you the amount of times watching my kids, thousands of times when they were learning to walk, they fell down. And then even after they learned to walk, the amount of times that they ate it and fell down somehow, I look at my husband, I'm like, how did any of us survive physically even? Like, it's like amazing, like, that we just don't die. Like, there's so many, like, and then she's learning to ride a scooter, and I'm like, oh God. Like, I watch her outside try to be all cool. I'm like, go for it. She's gonna eat it. She eats it. You know what I mean? Like, and my husband's like, let her do it. I'm like, yep, great. And just have to sit there and watch her get hurt, right? I have to watch her get hurt. And she's gonna survive it. And guess what? We all did learn to walk, because there was something inside of us, and there was something inside of our parents when we would fall down. They were certain we would learn. So they're like, you got it. Let's go again. You got it. You got it. Let's go. It's good. It's fine. It's good. Go again, again, again. And then there's about 99,000 other things that we tried and didn't get right away. And ourselves and our parents are went, just stop. It's too painful. It's awful. Just don't. Just please stop. You're killing me. I can't even watch it. It's so bad. And we learn to protect ourselves from doing anything mediocre, from doing anything not perfect. And it's such garbage. There's an amazing woman, her name is Carolyn Dweck, and she wrote a book called Mindset, which is a great book to read, although it's a little dense because she's a Stanford professor. So it's like a lot of like, it's not like an easy read, but it's not like one of those summer beach reads. If you want to get the same yumminess out of the book, you could read Angela Duckworth's book called Grit, which is based on Carolyn Dweck's book. She's also a researcher. It's also not a summer beachy read, but it's a little bit easier to read. Anyway, Carolyn Dweck is incredible. She went into inner city schools and the top schools in New York City. So like Dalton on the Upper East Side, which is like $59,000 a year for second grade. And then she went into like the schools that were performing the worst, like lower than the national average, okay? And she worked with these people. She worked with these kids, and she took the same kids in both grades, both, fifth grade, kids who were performing at the top of their game, highest scores in the country, and the kids who were like, just people said, oh, it's a lost cause. These kids don't have a hope. It's terrible, no IQ. And she was able to realize that it was all about mindset. The kids who were told, like, they actually put these classrooms together, and they would walk into a classroom and say, okay, here's what you need to achieve. Okay, this is what you need to do. This is the goal. And we need to see you get that done. And then, all right, they give them a test. You need to get all these answers right. This is what we're looking for. The kids would sort of perform sort of so-so. And with the other class, when they said, do your best, like, it's not about the outcome. Like, we're really here to just see you do your best. And there really isn't like a sort of grade here. It's just like, try to solve these problems the best that you can. It's really about you, sort of, you're competing just with yourself. We're just going to look at where you're at. The kids just did much better. And then she decided to spend a few months in that inner city's classroom. And wouldn't you know, not only did they improve, they wound up testing at the end higher than the other school. And it was all about mindset. And just to tell you one more thing, Todd Herman wrote a book called Alter Ego. And you guys, I get the privilege, you're going to get the privilege of it too, vis-a-vis me. But I get to basically interview 2 of these people a week for my shows. I get to meet all these like big TED Talk people, and it's really fun. But Todd Herman was on my show. He wrote a book called Alter Ego. And they did these studies with kids and adults. And basically they took a group of 100 kids, and they gave them like a janitor's keys, like a big key ring with like hundreds of keys on it, like a big key ring. And they said to this group of kids, find the key that opens this door. We're going to give you 2 minutes, okay? And most of the kids gave up trying to find the key. Then they came back in, and they gave every kid a Batman cape. And they were like, you're Batman, find the key. And they found it in less than a minute. And why is that? Because they associated themselves with the ability to just do it. And they did. Then they took a group of adults, and they had this group of adults read these words on a chalkboard. And it was a whiteboard, actually, not a chalkboard, whiteboard. And they wrote the words of colors in different color ink. So it would say the word brown, but be written in purple. It would say the word red, but be written in green. It would say the word blue, but be written in, I don't know, pink or red or whatever. And they would ask the adults to read the words. And it was kind of like all over the place. Some people were like, red. Oh, I mean brown. It was just written in red. Purple. I mean, that's kind of the way the test goes. Like it's meant to have sort of like, some people get them all right. Some people get confused. It's like, that's like normal. Then they gave a group of adults the same test, and they gave them a lab coat. And they said, oh yeah, this is the lab coat of a very famous neurosurgeon. Put it on. Okay. They got everyone. They got everyone. It's like, it doesn't matter that it's written in brown. If it says green, they said green. They just fucking nailed it, right? Went right through it. Then they had a group of adults put on a painter's smock, right? It's like paint everywhere. And they put on the painter's smock, and they all messed up. They were like, blue. I mean, it says pink. Sorry, that's pink. What the hell is this? Okay. The way that we view ourselves and our strengths and our abilities, all of that determines what we actually are able to do, which is why they'll say, a teacher should not tell a kid, you're really, struggling with this, or you're really good at this, because it totally interferes, it should just be all the same sort of growth mindset, work on this if you can, if you want. I probably guess the best thing would be to say, like, you got this, you can do this, right? That'd be better than, yeah, this is not your strength. How many of you growing up, I know this was true in my house, my sister, she was deemed like talented. She was this, and this. I had other things, right? Like in fact, my parents used to distinguish everything. My parents would be like, your sister's beautiful. You're cute. Like everything was like that. Your sister's voice is like classically trained. Yours is like, you know, just sort of like, and they didn't actually say the nicest things about my voice. But she was definitely, I was told my sister was the talented one. And I wasn't. In fact, the very first play I ever auditioned for, I wasn't supposed to audition. I went with my sister and my mom. My sister auditioned. And the director was like, oh, you have another daughter. Do you want to audition? My mom's like, no, she doesn't really. She doesn't really sing. And then the director was like, well, why don't you sing something? We need a lot of kids in the cast. Just sing something. So I sang a song from Sound of Music. And then I remember we went to Arizona on a trip. And my sister kept calling the answering machine to like find out, like, did she call? Did she call? And this is like, 1988 or something. So we called the answering machine every day. We finally got home from the trip. And then the next day there was a message on the machine telling my mom to call because one of the kids, was in the show. My mom calls, my sister's in the kitchen. I'm like, watching Saved by the Bell or something. I'm like, this isn't happening. And my mom says, I hear my mom on the phone. She's like, what do you mean? How could this be? You picked the wrong kid. Are you sure? Which kid? Blonde hair, brown hair? And then she's like, no, the kid with the brown hair and the freckles. My mom's like, but she's not talented. And then my mom spent the whole evening, my sister remembers this, consoling my sister about how she didn't get into the play and I did. And I was just like, anyone? No one? No. Party for one? Like nobody was excited for me. And then my mom drove me to rehearsal, and the entire experience was my mom telling me on the way to rehearsal how sad it was that my sister had to sit in the audience and watch the rehearsal because she was really the talented one. So that's fascinating, but I'm sure that has affected me in my life. And funny enough, I have to say, my sister feels like it actually affected her negatively because she's a perfectionist. She feels that since my parents always told her, of course you're getting an A, of course you're talented, of course you're going to do AP classes. She was always like this. Like we'd get Barbie dolls for Christmas and I'd cut the heads off. I'd dye the hair with the Kool-Aid. Like I was like, I'm a screw up. No one's betting on me. So like, I just did my thing. My sister's dolls stayed in her box. Like she wouldn't take them out of the box. I'd be like, how could you not take it out of the box? Meanwhile, she's like, look at yours. You don't even know where the shoes are. I'm like, shoes? It came with shoes? What are you talking about?
I love you.
You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, so there's something about, first of all, the labels we put on ourselves. When we say like, I'm not good at this. That's not great. It really affects you. And when you tell yourself, I have to get it right. They're both not good. They're both not good. So I think one of the beautiful things that you're going to get out of this program, having me as a teacher and a coach, one thing, this is a place where we don't want to be perfect. We just don't, because it's really, really in the way. If you want to be perfect, you probably shouldn't do this because this requires you to have courage and be messy and playful and happy, right? Like this should not be torture. One of the things I want you to hear is I interviewed the writer of my favorite musical, Dear Evan Hansen, and he told me that the reason he became a great playwright is because years ago he was living on the Lower East Side in Manhattan, and he did something called the Bake Off. And the Bake Off was for playwrights, and every Friday morning you'd go down to this little theater and they would give you a recipe. They'd say, okay, your play has to have a character named Alice. It has to have a scene in the North Pole. I mean, I'm making this up. It would give them a recipe for their play. And the Bake Off meant that if you wanted to be part of the Bake Off, you would sign up. So there's your accountability. And then 2 days, 48 hours later, Sunday night, you had to come back with your play written. So why was that brilliant? Because it's a clear guarantee your play is going to suck. Like you can't write an amazing play in 2 days. But sometimes by writing a play and saying, I'm making a crappy play, you actually write something awesome. And sometimes it's not finished, but there's something in the play that you want to keep, right? And what he said is he did that every single week. And it got him in this habit of like, just write it. Just write a mediocre play. Just get it done. And he made super good friends. And then cool things would happen. Like he'd write the third one and he'd go, oh, there's this one character that just came out. I want to write a whole play now around that character. And he said it was kind of like being a detective at a crime scene. You'd go back and look at what you did and be like, is there anything here that I want to keep? Anything at all? And from there, he actually met up with the people who wrote Dear Evan Hansen. And Dear Evan Hansen, how many of you saw Dear Evan Hansen? Anyway, it's just so good. But when that play started and people would ask them, what's the play about? By the way, it won the Tony for best show. Okay, so pretty decent chance that, you know, everyone objectively would say it's good. It's great. When they were first creating it, it took them 5 years to get it to even a workshop stage. The guys who wrote the music, Pasek and Paul, they wrote the music to La La Land also. They're amazing composers. But when they were first working on the play and they would say to Steven, the writer, what's the play about? He'd be like, it's about a kid in high school who commits suicide, and then it's about another kid who pretends to be that kid's friend, and he really wasn't friends with him. And people would be like, okay, crazy person, like that's not gonna be, and then he would go, oh, it's a comedy. And people would be like, you're an idiot, because no one's gonna watch your play, and you're weird. And for 5 years, he'd be like, please don't ask me what the play's about, you know? And it's an amazing play. And yeah, so this idea of making messy things, this permission slip, I want you to, what I want you to do, just because it's really powerful and it helps everyone in the program and it will help you, I want you to find a picture of yourself at 6 or 7. And I want you to take that picture, print it out digitally, or maybe you have an actual picture of yourself and put it next to this permission slip and take a picture of it. I want you to post it in the group. I want everyone to see those. I want to see those kids, because we're doing this for them. And I want everyone to be on the same page with that, okay? I want to see what that kid looks like. I want everybody to have that kid front and center, because you wouldn't do that to your own kid, no. Okay, so we're gonna let ourselves be messy. John, I want to throw it back to you. Is there anything you want to say about this first assignment that I already said? Anything you want to, do you want to read off some of the syllabus stuff?
Oh yeah, I'd love to, since yeah, I think some people have been asking about that. Let me just pull that up. I was saying something in the chat, just that there's no such thing as failure. It's just like you have to try. Like that's the only kind of failure you can do is not try, which is pretty much exactly what you're saying with all this. And we want to create an environment where people feel like they can make mistakes, and because you really do need to make mistakes, because I've found like you'll never take a risk if you don't practice making mistakes. And then after a while, you'll just start to realize that there's no such thing as a mistake. Okay, so here's the syllabus. So here's just some of the stuff that we're going to be going over the next couple of months, and probably the next 2 or 3 months, we're going to be hitting up all this stuff. So kind of like music for commerce, music as a hobby versus making music as a business, kind of the differences between the mentality shift required for success in the music industry. It's kind of like music licensing 101, everything you need to know before you start to engage the sync industry. Some of this stuff we've already started to dive into, but we're just going to keep diving further into it. Research, knowing your audience, doing your homework to make sure you're approaching new projects from a highly marketable angle. Ear training, which is so key, is mastering the art of regularly tuning your ears to what is successful, musical taste and vibe, and then applying that to your craft, not only as like a songwriter, but also when the production comes into it. And then the entire marketing package and the branding that goes behind, like, you know, putting together an artist that you're going out and pitching for licensing. And then when we're going into like the songwriting, there's all kinds of stuff we're going to talk about when it comes to songwriting, kind of songwriting essentials, top lines, lyrics and melodies that work, song structure, how to use song structure to make your songs like have the maximum impact that they can. Co-writes, how to plan out and make the most out of your co-writing sessions. When it comes to like all the production stuff, I mean, I'm just getting started here, literally. Just feedback, and like we're actually going to like talk about how to get feedback and like how to take that in and how to like kind of use that to make your songs as good as they can be. Production, like how to produce it at a high level, how the pros go about it, what you need to know, whether you're producing things yourself or hiring an outside producer, mixing, what makes a good mix, why having one is so important, formats and mastering, like navigating the loudness wars. There's all kinds of stuff, like the things that you need in order, like what formats are needed to be pitching stuff. And this is just like we're about halfway through like the stuff that we're going to be talking with you all about like over the next few months. So
Awesome.
The 6 months.
We're gonna give you that syllabus. You're not gonna have to like write it all down right now.
No, sorry, I should have said that before I even started.
No.
People might be trying
I
to
said it earlier. You're fine.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody in the chat.
I want to play for you guys. Who wants to hear one of John's songs? Just raise your hand. Okay. I'm just going to play one of his songs for you. It's really good. And Happy Feeling is the one from Starbucks, right? Yeah. Okay, so this was like his first huge placement. Was like played everywhere. Everyone heard it. Millions of people heard it. Okay, I'm gonna hold my phone up. I'll tell you why. When I share my screen, sometimes it kills the internet if I'm on Zoom. And so I'm gonna play it for you from my phone. And then John, you might want to put it in the chat. You guys can listen to it then through your own speakers later, so that you can have a better quality. Or we could put it in the. But here's just one of his songs. Okay, so it is a little hard to hear for some of you. Some of you heard it. We put the link. You can copy and paste that link right now, just so you have it for after the call. If you want to listen to it on your own, you can go ahead and grab that. You know, when I listen to songs like that, and it's so obvious why that would work for TV. It's such a feel-good song. Not only that, the production's great, your vocal's great. Your range is like endless. Like I feel like he sings at the low end, and he sings the super high end. But, you know, sometimes I think that we can be our own enemies in so many ways. And one thing that you're going to learn from this program is that people outside of this program are going to be like, oh yeah, you must be so proud of the fact that you wrote a feel-good song. Like that's so artistic. As if art is only depressing music. And by the way, there's so many sad songs that you're going to write that are going to be great from film and TV, by the way. Let's just be clear. Like it really runs the gamut. But for ads, by and large, ads are going to want to, you know, associate their store with like the happiest feeling. And so it really does make sense to try to figure out how to write music that feels good, because it will be your biggest investor. It doesn't mean though you can't write a beautiful reflective song for a TV show or a film, which you should. I would encourage you, and you will be encouraged in this program, to do both. We don't only focus on ads. But the reason why I wanted to call attention to the fact that it's feel good is because we just talked so much about what people really struggle with. And if you come from that place of what we just talked about and you take that with you in the studio, you can write songs that will let people get out of their crap. And the song should be about like, let yourself be messy. Let yourself be silly. Breathe. It's okay. You don't have to be perfect. Like if that's what you're going in the studio with when you want to write a feel-good song, you will let yourself unleash, because people need to hear that, right? Like whatever you practice, you get better at. Whatever you practice. How many of you, just go like this, if you know someone know someone who gets angry really quickly? You know why? Because they practice that shit. Like, the faster it happens is because you practiced it so many times. That's your reaction. So now it's like something sets you off, and then it used to be like something set you off. You'd feel like, oh, this person didn't consider me. Oh my God, I was trying to take that parking spot. Now they're taking it. So that means that no one cares about me. Oh, that reminds me of how I like always felt that way. Oh, people are such jerks. Then you honk on your horn, right? Like that's, but if you've thought that process enough times, it takes very little for someone to do something. You're like, you don't consider me, F you. You know, you see people get so, and you're just like, what is going on? It's like the gun is cocked and ready, right? It's like, that's practicing anger. It's the same thing with everything else. It's like, if you practice feeling grateful, you feel grateful easier. If you practice feeling joyful, you feel joyful easier. Will Ferrell is so silly. A friend of mine was just in LA on jury duty, and he's a person too, so he had to go to jury duty. And she said that the judge was like, you have to be dismissed, because he was on the jury and he kept making like really funny faces and like whatever, and everybody was laughing. And the lawyer was like, this is totally unacceptable. Like, I can't do this case with Will Ferrell on the jury. And at first the judge was like, no, he has to do his civic duty. And then like 3 days in, my friend who was on the jury was like, it was hysterical. Cause like he couldn't contain it. Like everything was a joke. Everything was silly. And the judge was like, done, you're out of here. And he was like, sweet. Cause like, obviously he didn't want to be on jury duty, you know, but like, just cause you're a celebrity, you can't get out of it. So my friend said it was like the greatest experience of her life, cause she was with him with 12, there was 12 of them in a room, and it was Will Ferrell, and he was hysterical, and he can't help it. Right? She's like, everything the man says, it doesn't even matter if he's like, can I have a pencil? It's like the funniest person ever asked you if you could have a pencil. So what you practice, you get better at. So we need to encourage the world to practice being silly and ridiculous and not so serious and take themselves so seriously. And when you come from that place, I'm telling you, you're going to have more fun, and you will be able to get behind writing a feel-good song, because it really is a service to the world. I kid you not. Like, we all could use a dance break every day. I venture to say, like, if Congress got up and had a dance break every day, I mean, we wouldn't need to argue about anything. Like, put on some Flow Rida and dance. Like, just relax. Like, put on some Meghan Trainor, and then you can get back. And then you can do your filibuster. But it's so freaking serious. It's like, I hate it. My mom, we were just at Nordstrom the other day, and she's talking to this, we're in the kids' shoe section, and there's another father with his kids. They start talking about politics. I'm like, why do we try politics? Why on earth would you ever talk about it? It's, first of all, it's so divisive. Everyone gets so serious. And it's like, let's just be silly together. And then we'll realize we have so much more in common, right? And it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. We all could use a dance break, okay? So you are going to learn how to write songs that feel good genuinely, and you're going to be groomed to be messy, and you're going to be groomed to be productive. And then you're going to connect with supervisors and hear from them directly. And we're going to talk all about pitching. And we're also going to talk about songs that are heartfelt and serious, and songs that are ominous. And there's all different stories that are going to be told. And you're going to be doing all of that in this program. So you're also going to notice that I have a really hard time holding back. So I can't just give you like 20 minutes of my time. So our sessions are going to be long. And I know that some of you are going to be like, that's so cool, she's really available. And some of you are going to be like, God, this is going on so long. You can get off whenever you need to get off. And we're gonna close now. But just in general, my sessions are always long. I really try to make them shorter. I do have kids that need me and a million things that have to get done with my podcast, but I simply can't get off these calls. So just know you can always leave when you need to, and you can always watch the replay of any part that you missed, okay? So who feels excited right now? Anyone with me? Yes. I want you to know that if you are all in, you will leave this program more yourself than when you started. You will become more and unbecome more. Maybe success is not really about becoming anything. Maybe it's about unbecoming everything you're not, letting it go. And so much of the psychology, when you take it and then we direct it into action, it's like magic. So I want you to, just to recap, I want you to think about this psychology, right? And this like battery pack. And the first part of that is like, what's going to push your buttons every day? Please don't wait till you see my face on a Zoom call to be like, oh yeah, I probably should feel inspired, right? Because I'll deliver, but in between, you want to do some maintenance there, right? And think about what you're going to do every morning. And is it going to be a run around the block? Is it going to be dancing, forcing yourself? Like, oh God, Kathy told me to dance every morning. You maybe will feel better though. I don't know. It's possible. But you got to do something every day. Every day. Just like you're going to brush your teeth every day. You got to deal with this every day. Okay. So I don't know if it's going to be morning pages, what you're going to do. Listen to a podcast. I know a good one. It's free. You can listen to that every day. There's 200 episodes sitting there. Yeah, that'll get you through 6 months. But do something every day, okay? Second thing is, you're going to meet with your team this week. You guys are going to use Voxer. It's free. It's an app. You're also going to use Zoom if you want, which is also free, up to 45 minutes. So you could get a paid account, but I don't want you to pay for more things. You could use it for 45 minutes, or maybe you want to figure out another way to talk. You know, some people use Skype. But Zoom is available for 45 minutes. I have a feeling if you're pretty smart, you could get it done in 45 minutes. So you're going to get together with your team. You're going to name your team. And when you get together with your team, you want to check in, right? So make sure everyone's keeping themselves accountable. So whatever the assignment is that week, right? If you're sending in work tapes, maybe you guys want to talk about that. How did it go? What did you write about? How are you feeling? Just check in. Give everybody at least a couple minutes, 2 minutes to talk. This is where I'm at. This is what I'm struggling with. And then you just do like that sort of like roll call, like who did their assignment? Where are you at every day? Are you watching the replays? Are you showing up for the calls? Are you not? If you're not, fine. You're watching the replay. Did you even do the research? Just having that accountability is going to be good social pressure. Even if it means that 2 minutes before the accountability call, you get your work done, it's going to be good. So we're going to send you the list. John, do you want to put the link in the chat now to that? We'll also post it in the Facebook group and email it, but do you want to put it in?
Let me just grab it.
Okay. So you're going to find out now who's in your group. And again, you can meet with anybody else.
Oh, and just, I was going to say a little pro tip. When I drop it in here, you can just quickly find yourself by doing a Command F and just typing in your name or your email address, and you should be able to find yourself really quickly.
Yeah. You know what he's talking about, right? When you want to like look for your name in a file, you just hit Command F and then you'll see a big Excel sheet, but you'll find out where yours is. So what you want to do, so there's the Google link. It's a spreadsheet. We'll also post it in the Facebook group. We'll also email it out. But you'll see every group has like 8 to 10 people. And you want to keep track of each other. Remember that everybody really wishes that other people would see them. And so show up for each other. Keep track of each other. And you'll be amazed at how you doing that for each other, like you doing that for your group. If everybody does that, everybody goes all in that way, you're going to help each other so much to succeed through this program. And we'll also obviously be keeping track of you. There's accountability from us because there's assignments. So there's going to be that accountability. There's calls. There's also, we're going to post weekly assignments and you're going to respond. So there's accountability beside your group, but I think it's also nice to have that touchstone. Okay. So very first assignment we're going to post in the chat and it's in the Facebook group and it's going to be for you guys to find the song that you want. And then, this week, a couple things are going on. The people who signed up first got a bonus where we're doing a call with Samantha Hilscher from Lionsgate. And that is on the 27th, I believe it's 7:30 in the evening. And the people who signed up a couple days later, there's a bonus with there was an Alex Stern and Stefan Pine bonus. I forgot which one came first, but you know who you are. And if you don't know who you are, we'll let you know, we'll remind you who you are. If you signed up first, you actually get all of the bonuses. And what that basically means is that there's extra calls with music supervisors, but everybody who's in the program is going to get 2 calls this month. We already have them booked and we'll let you know when those are. There's so many already booked. Like we have like 6 of them booked for the next 2 months. So I'm right now off the top of my mind losing track of who's who, but we will let you know who's coming when. What else can we say? Haven't seen anything about early bonuses. Okay, if you enrolled within the first 24 hours, then you got the Samantha Hilscher bonus. And for that, What we're doing is basically we are asking everyone to send us a song that you think would be good for film and TV. Okay. And she's going to listen to 5 songs live. That's what we always do. It's always 5 songs, but we are going to send her a folder of the songs that you guys send in. And then that's that. And then everybody who's in this program, you get 2 calls a month with music supervisors. Okay. And those of you who got a free ticket to Sync Keepers, we are talking to the theater right now, just locking down dates, but it's going to be probably end of January. And some of you, if you got a free ticket and you can't come, you could use a virtual, you can watch it, you can get a virtual ticket instead, which is really great. I'll tell you why. When we did the last event, we took questions from the virtual room and we played songs from people in the virtual room as well. We play songs on the stage in front of everyone who's there so that all the panelists can give feedback. Last event, we played through like 38 songs during the 2 days, and we took songs from people in the virtual room and people in the room. So it's a good ticket to have either way. Anyway, I think that's all for now. The next time that I get together with you, we're going to go over a lot of things, as we often do, but one of the things that we're going to go over is really looking at what are your specific goals and what's the very first thing, and first things first, and how can we make that into bite size. John, your first class with everybody is what day? Is it Tuesday?
Should be sometime this coming next week, right?
This week, because Samantha,
but following week.
This week you're doing the Samantha thing. What night? The 27th, right?
Yeah, that's Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay. When are your office hours? On Thursday?
Office hours are typically on Wednesdays.
On Wednesday? What time is that call?
That call is at, let's see, where is it? I think it fluctuates between 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. This week it looks like it is 10 o'clock.
Okay. So everyone is invited to office hours, and we'll send you the link for that. And I'll tell you what's really cool about the office hours. So every week you're getting a coaching session and office hours, okay? And in the office hours, what's awesome is our current students who are in the other, basically 6-figure songwriters who started a few months ago, because like we opened this up for enrollment. Well, we opened it up for enrollment last time was in January. So some of those folks are still here, and those folks will be in those office hour calls with you. So, and then we have a legacy group. We have an alumni group, and you guys will be welcome to join that also when you're done. But you'll get to meet legacy folks in the office hours too, which is fun, just because you get to kind of connect with other people who are in this culture, right? Who Catch the Moon, who write for Sync, who work from this kind of place. Like you'll meet those folks, all the folks that you heard give testimonials. Some of those folks are in our alumni. They show up for those alumni calls. It's good. It's like a big mastermind of really smart, hardworking people. So we'll give you the Zoom link for the office hours. We'll post it in the Facebook group, and we'll also make sure that we email it to you. So that's Wednesday, and we will post the homework. So who's ready for this week? You know what you're doing. You're meeting with your accountability group. You get office hours on Wednesday. Typically, John listens to songs too from the group in office hours. So what we do is before office hours, he'll usually say, hey, we'll post it to the Facebook group, that private Facebook group. You want to watch that every day. That's something to check on every day because we post things in there. But John will say, hey, just a reminder, office hours are tomorrow at this time. Here's the Zoom link. Send, comment below if you have a song you want me to review, right? And then he doesn't go through every song, but he will try to make sure that he gets through as many as he can, and he'll vary it up. So if he sees, Chris is the guy who just keeps posting songs every week, he'll be like, okay, we're not gonna listen to Chris's songs every week. We'll try to vary that up. But that's fun because you get to hear a range, right? There's people who are alumni, he's listening to songs, there's people who are new, and you gotta get to hear what's working, what's not working. So I think that this was good. I think we got through everything that we wanted to talk about. How are you guys feeling? Pumped? Okay, good. So it is Sunday. We're taking a big part of your day. I love you guys. I'm so excited. I have no doubt that amazing things are going to happen. I have no doubt because I've seen it happen already and I get the vibe. John and I were talking and he did say, I don't want our other students to feel bad, but hand to God, you said, the talent in this group is pretty darn awesome. You were like, I don't know, could be superior to everything else you ever done. I was like, he did say this. He's a man of very honest words, but he did. There's a lot of talent in this group. We've been listening to the songs and it's darn awesome. So we're pretty confident in what we're going to bring to the table in terms of showing up for you. And if you show up with that talent and this kind of kindness and heart, I think there's a lot of amazing things going to happen. And you're going to soon be like, this does work. And now I'm the person saying, I just got a song in this thing and holy crap, I just made $12,000 for it. Or, oh my God, my friends told me they heard my song. They were walking through whatever and they heard it on the thing. Or, oh my God, my song is in a Hulu trailer and I just got a check for $27,000. Say what? Like, this is what we've seen happen. We've seen it happen in every single class and not just to one people. We see it happen to multiple people every time. And then what's cool is once you kind of like break through, it kind of happens again and again and again with different songs. Because once you get it and you're kind of there, you get in that mastery, you're getting in that flow, you're getting creative, you're getting messy, you have the right co-writers, you got your process, your system, your go-to people. John's shaking his, the song fits. Once I found my groove, no pun intended, almost every song I wrote after that was licensed. True story. So I hope that winds up being the case for you. And then I hope that that's just the beginning of really what you're on your way to do, which is just becoming more of yourself. Like, I don't know where that's going to lead you, but maybe that success leads you to want to write and play. Or maybe that leads you to just say like, oh, cool, I'm going to quit my day job and vacation more. Or maybe it leads you to say, I'm going to help other artists write music, or I'm going to teach guitar more, or I'm going to, I don't know, do an art installation. Who knows where it's going to lead? But hopefully it's really just leading you to really growing as a person and as a creative person. And that's just the kind of the beginning. So, all right. We will post. Here's what we're going to do right after this call. John, I want you to just go ahead and do this right after this call. He's going to post in the Facebook group the link for the accountability groups. We're going to be checking in with you guys. You'll see me popping in throughout the week in between our calls saying like, how'd this go? Or what's going on there? So meet with your group. He'll post the link to the Excel sheet so you can find your people. And I'd love to hear from you guys. We'd love that every team captain, by the way, we're going to have calls sometimes every month where we're going to invite the homeroom parent, like the team captain, to come on a Zoom call, and everyone else is invited. Like, you're all invited to show up, but just to make it like easier, we're going to let the team captains like speak for the group, right? Here's what's going on in our group, group Tiger, whatever it's called. Tiger Stripes is, we're crushing it in this way, and someone so just did this, and it's been so awesome, and we got spirit, how about you? And that kind of thing. So, but everyone will be invited. We don't want to make anyone feel like, oh, I got to be a team leader then I get on those calls. No, everyone will be invited, but we'll just make it so that we'll let you guys have like a representative to speak on your behalf, and just to check in. Then that way we can really get a sense of how everyone's doing. All right. Okay. So captain's call. Yeah, I'm really excited. Your first assignment is to get with your group, set up your flow, make sure you guys are meeting, connecting with each other, find out. First thing to do when you get in that call is like, you guys should play like a game, like 2 truths and a lie or something, like 2 things that are true, 1 thing that's not. See if everyone can guess, which one wasn't true. Just have fun with it. Get to know each other. Ask each other like what your biggest challenge is right now. Ask each other what you're most excited about. Ask each other to vent about how you felt about this call. Like, God, Kathy's hair looked good. Or she's really long-winded. Or I don't think I like her, but I like John a lot. She's going to be really annoying. She's too like Pippi Longstocking for me. Just vent it out. Like what's working? What are you excited about? Is there anything that I said that you're like challenged by? Anything I said that you're like, yes, that's such a breakthrough. I am going to be Bessie. I am going to give myself permission. Just do that in the group on the first call. And then make sure you all do the assignment, right? In the accountability group, make sure everyone's accountable. And the first assignment is to find 1 song that worked for film, TV, or ads that is the kind of song that you want to write. You're going to post that in the group. We'll create a thread in the Facebook group for you to respond. But You guys are smart. That's all I can say. You're here. All those other people who were in that challenge, they're like, this was the best thing I've ever done. And that's going to be it for me. This is where the road would end. And I'm going to go back to where I was. And not you guys. You're like, I'm in. I'm doing this thing. And you're going to meet such awesome humans who actually choose music for things. And you're going to go, oh, Kathy's right. I'm not creating an opportunity. It's already there. I may as well just get it on the pipeline. They're already looking for the songs. They're already making these budgets. I'm not coming up with numbers of $75,000 for a pay less spot. They're the ones coming up with it. I just want to be in on helping serve that opportunity. This is like not rocket science. There's a pipeline, right? You just want to get in on it. It's like already going on all day long. I want you to think about that this week. You're sitting, living your best life. And every day there's hundreds, if not thousands of people looking for music. And you just want to get in on that. And that's it. You're not trying to twist their arm. You're not trying to sell them on the idea of it. You're not trying to convince them of the concept to license an indie artist song. They're doing that anyway. They're doing it. They're looking for you. They've got the budget for it. This is what you just want to get in on that by setting yourself up to have the right music and then figuring out who the hell these people are, right? And you were going to have a pipeline to both of those things in this program. So I'm pretty excited about it. I'm going to get off now and take my daughter to her class party to meet her class at her new school. All right, guys, I love you. It's going to be good. Okay. And thank you, John. And I'll see you guys soon.
See you soon.
Bye, guys.